And as they're preparing for the transition in the new year, Harris's top aides are also grappling with the question of what's the next best step for her. Let's bring in Mike Leon to talk about this. He's our NTD News contributor and the host of the Can We Please Talk podcast. Good morning, Mike. Good to see you again. What are her options now moving into the next year and out of office?
Hey, Evelyn, good morning. First and foremost, good to see you. For Kamala Harris right now, I know there's been some split amongst her team about whether or not they want to start this 2028 presidential run. Look, the numbers show 75 million people did vote for her, right? Obviously, in a short campaign under 110 days. So maybe that's an option. But if she wants to run for the California governor, because of this recent UC Berkeley poll that came out that showed that, a good majority of Californians would potentially support her as governor, she's got to make a decision really soon because obviously the 2026 gubernatorial race is going to be happening there. Gavin Newsom reaching his term limits. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, look, these are her two options, Evelyn. Obviously, there could be something else that she wants to get back to in public life. She hasn't been very vocal about that. But these are the two most notoriety-wise positions that everyone's talking about, given what just happened this past November and given how many people did turn out to support her.
So we don't think that she might be taking a little bit more of a backseat in the Democratic Party?
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially in 2028, it's such a crowded field for, the presidential race. I mean, look, will Gavin Newsom jump into that race? Will Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro jump into that race? There's a lot of different folks speaking to people familiar with the DNC's thinking. And remember, DNC needs a new party chair. Obviously, Jamie Harrison is out of there. I know they are talking to a couple of candidates, including my friend, former South Carolina Representative Bakari Sellers, about the role and potentially, would she take a back seat? I mean, does the luster of 2024 and this many people turning out to vote for her, even though it wasn't as high of a turnout in 2020 like President Biden received, would potentially she be able to carry that over into 2028? Or could she leverage that right now into something more short term, given the success that she had and given that in California, that's her home, that's where she's from, that's where she's, been a district attorney and attorney general, and she has at least a little bit more popularity amongst the candidates in the field right now, especially the lieutenant governor or state assemblyman. So she's a little bit more popular in the state than those folks. So which path would you rather take, right, Evelyn? The more national path, or would you rather keep it more to your state and local?
Right. So, and on that topic of the top ads weighing whether run for governor or president in 2028, reportedly they are also weighing whether she could actually win a 2028 Democratic nomination. What do you think she has to do after this defeat to win this a nomination looking forward into 2028? And is it going to be tougher for her, do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be tougher, but I think her team, this is what I would be struggling with if I was on her team, right? Because the campaign, like we mentioned, Evelyn, it was 110 days, and she couldn't disassociate herself from being part of this administration. So that means policy failures and even the successes she wasn't getting credit for because it would just be used against her saying, well, vice presidents don't do anything. And then when it was something negative, it was like, well, she was the vice president. So she was damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? But in 2028, in a Democratic primary field, her last time out, obviously, she didn't even make it into when primary voting started. She dropped out of the race. She would have to make a clear, convincing case as to economy, immigration, top national issues, whatever else is top of mind at 2028, that she is the best candidate for. And I think potentially a 4-year, probably 3 years, because the primary started a little bit early, 3 years off from the national spotlight and being able to kind of recharge the battery, super focus on some of these issues, still being publicly visible would give her a potential boost over the Pennsylvania governor like a Josh Shapiro or Gavin Newsom or other top-notch Democratic candidates, whoever starts to emerge from that race. So I think she would have to really figure out her economic vision and her policies on the foreign wars, depending upon how they end up over these next 3 years. We'll see what happens with China's aggression into Taiwan. All of these things she would have to craft for her own. Over these last couple of months, she wasn't able to do that because she was part of this current administration, which was very unpopular.
Right. Definitely a couple of lessons to take away for her from here. So with the last minute that we have, do you think, talking about she was unable to disassociate herself, for example, could be a governor's office also be beneficial for her in terms of paving the way to the White House in the future and making a name or creating a name for herself disassociated from Biden?
Yeah, the only problem with that, Evelyn, is the timeline, right? So let's say she does jump into the gubernatorial race, which is going to be starting over these next couple of months, because obviously it's 2025, 2026 is just around the corner. I can't believe I'm saying that. But so she would have to start campaigning. She would have to start, and this could be used in attack ads and also in debates, maybe going into 2026 by the other candidates in the field, that, hey, she's just running in this because she wants to remain visible and she's going to leave if she gets elected. Remember, Ron DeSantis down here in Florida, former Governor Charlie Crist, who ran against him, used that against DeSantis, saying, hey, he's just going to leave to run nationally. Now, it didn't work in terms of voter turnout for Charlie Crist. That's amongst a different reason, but that was something that was used against Ron DeSantis. Like, he's not for this job. He just wants to be president. He wants to leave this job. So the timelines don't match up, because she would have to start putting her name into the field for the 2028 race a little bit earlier. And I think, knowing at least people close to her, she's very hyper-focused on one singular thing, her state Senate race, her attorney general race. She wants to focus on one thing. So I think she would, if she went for gubernatorial, she wouldn't actually try to go on the national stage. I don't think it's something that would interest her, because I think she feels the needs of Californians, and she would just stay at home if she won that gubernatorial race.
Got it. Well, very interesting insights and great analysis as always. Thank you so much, Mike Leon.
Thanks, Evelyn.